this essay is about the trolley problem, and many people have heard of the trolley problem. It's a very famous dilemma in a discussion of moral philosophy. But so, yes, the trolley problem. But most people who refer to it, I don't think have any idea what they're talking about. It's pretty common. When people who don't know anything about philosophy talk about philosophy, they make mistakes, as we all do when we talk about things that we're not familiar with. So I think there's a large misconception about what the trolley problem is. I think most people think, well, the trolley problem is, what would you do if you were the trolley operator in this scenario that is presented, where you're operating the trolley, ahead of you on the tracks, you see five people. You try to stop the trolley, the brakes don't work. So it looks like you're going to just slam into these people. But then you see that there is a spur. You can change tracks and avoid killing these five people, but there's one person over there that you would be killing if you change tracks. And the question is it morally permissible to actually change tracks and kill the one person to save the five? And who knows, right? That's not the problem, really. The problem is that most people say that it is morally permissible. Right? The problem that follows is, well, what about a scenario where there's a doctor who has a healthy patient with fine, healthy organs, and he realizes that if he killed this patient and harvested the patient's organs, he could save five people who needed organ transplants. I mean, the question is, if you asked the same people who approved of the first action by the trolley driver, if you asked them whether the doctor was morally allowed, whether it was morally permissible for him to kill the patient to save five, they would say no. So the problem is that this, on the face of it, is an inconsistency. Right? In both cases, what's happening is that one person is being killed to save five. And in the first case, we're saying that it's okay, it would be morally okay, not necessarily required, but morally okay, for the trolley driver to kill one person to save five. But in the second case, which is just killing one person to save five, we're saying that the doctor is not morally allowed to do that. It's not morally permissible for him to do that. So the problem in the trolley problem is a problem of consistency. How could it be that in the one case of killing one to save five, you approve, and in the other case of killing one to save five, you disapprove? And on the face of it, that seems irrational. That seems inconsistent. So that's the problem in the trolley problem. Right? The problem of the inconsistency in the way that people typically respond to the two scenarios. That is, they have totally different answers about what the character should do, but they don't justify that by reference to any significant difference between the two scenarios. On the face of it, it just looks like it's killing one person to save five in both cases. So that's the problem in the trolley problem. And then we say, well, what would the solution? If it's a problem, then it may be insoluble at the end of the day, but you can propose solutions to the problem. And certainly both Philippa Foot, the one who originated it, and Judith Jarvis Thompson in this essay, they both propose solutions to the trolley problem. What would those solutions look like? Well, the solution would to be basically to find a difference between the two scenarios. That is, a difference which would justify would justify the differential treatment. But by that I mean the different assessments of what is morally permissible in each case. So that would be the solution. The solution would be to justify the different responses by pointing out some, at first, not noticed difference between the two scenarios. Okay, so just to review, the trolley problem is not like, what do you do? Do you flip the switch or not? Now, the trolley problem is the inconsistency in people's typical responses to the trolley situation and the situation of the doctor harvesting organs. No one's saying that anybody's right or wrong there. It's just that those are the typical responses, that we have a feeling that one is permissible and the other isn't. The problem consists in the observation that, on the face of it, there appears to be no significant difference between the two scenarios that would justify different evaluations. That is, if you're going to say that one is allowed, you should say that the other is allowed too. So, the solution to the problem is really justifying the differential treatment. That is, pointing out something different about the two scenarios, which would actually justify approving the actions of the one and disapproving of the actions of